in the hood like most black folks. Little did they know it comes gorillas from the south coast. Breaking the boots out, leaving them broken in many pieces. Black rain for not 5 weeks, pushing posse going to 6 with this revolutionary tactic. Them flips up under my mattress. I practice pro-blackness, now to say I'm prejudice, what's in the darkness. No, I'm not suicidal, but I'm dying for my people. No, I'm not addicted, I distinguish good from evil. I used to dwell on grounds, align my mind to burn from ignorance. I cut away my perm, mine got strong, some can't deal with this mentality. Thinking I'm weak, I'm not no gangster. It won't be televised, how many times my posse pull the trigger. Lord, oh Lord, am I the devil too, or am I really the son? Unto the throne, son of this true image of you, a portrait that I could not never see. Dumb as I may be, I never go, I come a G genocide.
Want to raise this new generation of Panthers for what? I mean, what's the purpose? What do you see coming out of this?
What I see coming out of it is
it's something that keeps you going with this. Why?
what keeps me going is I see the necessity of the Panther movement. And seeing that I see the necessity of it, I think it's very important that we don't allow them to make the same exact mistakes we made, and that they can have some sort of a foundation to build upon and be able to go further than what we was able to take. And that's my perspective. I just feel like I'm obligated as a Panther to keep this going. And even when I step back from being a chairman, because I don't care to be a chairman, even when I step back, the point is I'm going to reside on the elder council and still continue to be as forefront and as in their face as possible to train and guide them. I just ain't got to be out in the field.
I mean, I'm listening, I'm hearing, I'm just trying to get an understanding of what's going on. Now you say, so now, okay, another question. I got 2 more and then I'm gonna leave you alone. 2 more, 2 quick ones. Okay, I heard all that. I get it. I heard the Panther movement is necessary. For doing what? What is the purpose of the Panther movement? That's one question. The second one going to be based on the answer you give me. It's necessary. For what? What is the purpose? Back in the 60s, when Bobby and Huey created the Panther Party, the Black Panther Party in Oakland, they created it based on the police brutality that was going on in Oakland.
That was part of it, but go ahead.
Yeah, that was part of it. And they made their first organizing was behind a stop sign and a street where kids were being hit by cars and things of this nature. So they saw it was important to organize against that police brutality. Hence, Black Panther Party for self-defense. They saw that was important. Mm-hmm. What is the issue that the Panthers are addressing now? Why does the Panther Party need to exist? Why is it essential?
I would start off with this with the whole perspective on what I see when you look at the element of the fact that we would look up and have an issue with the fact that there's no stop sign, so we're gonna continue to run each other over and allow ourselves to be killed as if we can't critically think for ourselves. So when I look at that, it goes back to me in regards to self-determination. I think there's not enough Black people in terms of us consolidating ourselves to a position of empowerment for ourselves. When I look at a Black community, you don't see a quote unquote real Black community. What you see is a hood, and you see you basically see Black people in a confined area and treating it like they're in a confined area. There's no circulation of dollar, there's no circulation of wealth, there's no passing of information, there's no guidance on a collective level. And so to me, that goes right back to what the Panther's supposed to represent and what we should see teach the people. What you had then is you had a situation where, hey, if we don't have the external things to do this, we're going to do it ourselves. And in fact, as we do it ourselves, it's going to get everybody else motivated to the point to where they recognize how important it is and how we should be doing it ourselves, instead of continually playing the role of the victim and expecting our oppressor, the same ones that are oppressing us, also be the ones that gives us the answers we have to do for self. Now, that don't mean that I'm pushing forward with a quote unquote separatist nation, so to speak, but it's the mentality in which we operate. There is no common unity amongst how we operate as Black people. you know, and so my thing is I feel like the banner of the Panther always served as a positive, unified, collective force that people can get behind. And from that standpoint, one of the meetings I went to last week with an elder, it ain't even necessarily that everybody don a beret and distinguish themselves as a Panther, but what the Panther is going to do is going to be the network that everybody can get behind and utilize, or the conduit in which we can put these connections together. And that's the way I'm trying to push things in San Diego. So the whole self-defense part is irrelevant to me. It just simply has to do with another example of self-determination, another example of us recognizing that we have everything we need to make things happen. We just have to know how to communicate with one another and how to address our sicknesses and how to deal with our dysfunctionalities, which all boil back down to me, which goes into the subject matter we're going to be talking to today on how we define a Black family, how we define a family structure in general, and then how that integrates within a community element. What is there? To me, there should be no separation. And so the Black Panther Party is the vehicle in which I feel like that can be done, because I think that was the motive, and that was the motivation before. And even going into that, remember that Huey P. Newton Bobby Seale established the Black Panther Party for self-defense, but the symbol of the Panther way predates them. In fact, I like, even dealing with that generation of Eldridge, I like to say that, you know, the third development, it was Eldridge that was actually not Eldridge, I'm sorry, Stokely Carmichael, that was the first Panther, you know, if you want to deal with that specific generation. And then Bobby and Huey liked what they were doing and decided that they wanted to establish a branch which became the Black Panther Party for self-defense. And it's just so happened that branch of the Black Panther Party blew up because of what happened in Sacramento. But the Panther was on and moving. They wasn't the only Panthers. They just the only ones that got the recognition.
True. What was the second question I was going to ask you? Oh, this was the other one. And okay, you talked about the new generation of Panthers. Why the Panther Party is essential. What a Rabbit Man there, because I got a couple of questions for him. And so, what's the strategy? What do you think? Because you talked about the things that the Black community need, because the community is a hood, is a covered place. What is the strategy? What things do you think that need to be done and taught so that can change? What do you think is the solution to that? I know that's a big question.
Yeah, that's a big question. I can only kind of go into part of it, but I feel like, to me, when I look at the 10-point platform, and then I look at our local objectives, and then I look at what we refer to as the bylaws and the mechanisms, to me, those all come together and form what I refer to as a cell theory, which goes into the aspect of the solution. And now when we talk about that, let's just look at it from a high level concept. The high level concept would be you got your strategy, you got your conduit, and then you got your tactics. A lot of times people only talk about strategy and tactics, but they don't talk about the conduit. So there's 3 elements to that. And I like to refer to things at least in the factor of 3 as we moving forward. And I even go into that when I talk about the concept of the individual dealing with empowerment, the family dealing with empowerment, and the community dealing with empowerment. So from those perspectives, we also applied the same thing as it goes to building up what we're working on. And so when you say what is the solution to me even goes back to the same subject matter we're discussing today, and that's how does the individual, the family, and the community all connect up to a point to where they are able to complement one another and build a foundation upon one another, which I refer to as foundational advancement, which is another trifactor: generational, foundational, and advancement. Those 3 things have to coincide and work together. And so from that standpoint, another trifactor that comes into place with that would be the elder, the middle generation, and the youth have to also be in connection with each other and know their place and their part and operate from that standpoint, which gives you that solid foundation, which gives you that generational advanced foundation that we're talking about. So again, those just looking at things from the standpoint of the 3 elements or the 3 factors. So that's how I think that should go. So, you know, it's not just a strategy, but it's strategy, conduction or conduit, and then tactics. but everything has to work together. Everything has to be in accord. But that also means that people in general have to embrace learning as a lifestyle. Learning as a lifestyle, and too often we attach learning with a or a skill set with a dollar. So I have to be motivated to just want to be a better person, and I have to be motivated and want to just uplift myself, my family, and my community. And so I think the fact that we are at a state in existence to where we have to have a carrot in front of us just to do what is necessary as humanity in order to deal with progression, that's a problem. And so my main focus has to do here in San Diego with the emphasis on changing the perspective on learning, changing the perspective on why we should elevate ourselves and why that should be a pattern that we live by, instead of working toward this end goal to where now I got acquired this knowledge or acquired this information, now I can just sit back. But I want us to be in a constant state of growth, constant state of elevation, constant state of inclination. And that's why I refer back to connecting the elder, the middle generation, and the youth. Because when the youth looks at the elders, they see someone that is always and constantly learning themselves. So if I see the elders constantly learning, if I see the elders in a position where there's always something to grow from, then as a youth, I can't expect anything different. And then as a middle person or the middle generation, connecting the two together in terms of experience and in terms of will and drive and the energy cluster that goes on, now you got that solid combination. Now you got that right trifecta. So it's unifying those things as well as, like I said, the individual, the family unit, and the community. So serving as that example. So again, I see the Panther Party as a perfect conduit to make that happen.